Have you ever stopped and wondered what truly makes a happy life? I mean, we're all told it's about getting what you want, right? Hitting those big goals. But what if I told you that a 19th century philosopher, a guy famous for being a pessimist no less, argued for the exact opposite? Well, today we're diving into Arthur Schopenhauer's surprisingly practical guide to the wisdom of life. You see, Schopenhauer looked around and thought, most of us are just chasing the wrong things. We spend our whole lives running after wealth, fame, or status, and then we wonder why we end up feeling empty. So he decided to start with the most basic question of all. What is the real foundation of a happy, meaningful life? And to do this, he framed his whole investigation around this ancient Greek idea called eudaimonology. Now, I know, it's a mouthful, but it's actually pretty simple. It comes from eu, which means good, and daimon, which means spirit or your inner self. So he wasn't just talking about cheap thrills or fleeting pleasures. He was trying to figure out the art of cultivating a good inner life, a truly flourishing existence. And his very first move is a big one, totally radical for his time. He basically tells us to stop looking outside for all the answers. Instead, he says, we have to turn our focus inward. The real art of a happy life, he insists, is all about what happens inside the unique landscape of our own consciousness. This right here is his central point. We're all, in a way, living inside our own heads. Our personality isn't just some small part of our experience. It's the very lens through which we see everything. It's like the filter that colors the whole world. And that really explains why the exact same event can be a total disaster for one person and just a minor inconvenience for someone else. So, to really get a handle on this, Schopenhauer gives us a simple but incredibly powerful way to analyze the whole human condition. He argues that our fate, our happiness, is pretty much determined by the interplay of just three basic categories. He breaks it down like this. First, there's what a person is. This is all the internal stuff, right? Their personality, their health, their mind. Second, what a person has. Their property, their money, their possessions. And third, what a person represents. So their reputation, their rank, their status in the eyes of others. The big question is, which one holds the real key to happiness? For Schopenhauer, it's not even a contest. The answer is clear. It's absolute. The number one supreme source of happiness, the only one that really truly matters, is that first category, what a person is. The real treasure, the only wealth that can't be taken away from you, is what you carry inside yourself. This simple phrase just says it all, doesn't it? For Schopenhauer, our internal state is everything. I mean, the sheer joy of good health, of having a cheerful personality, that's a kind of wealth that no amount of money or power can ever really buy. The ailing king is still a prisoner of his own suffering, no matter how big his kingdom is. And he pushes this idea even further with this awesome thought experiment. Just compare two people. Imagine a genius like Cervantes who could write a masterpiece like Don Quixote while he was locked away in a prison. Now compare that to a dull person in a giant palace, surrounded by every luxury you can imagine, but just crushed by boredom. It's so clear where the real richness comes from, right? It's internal. Okay, so from there, he says that human life is basically this constant seesaw between two huge enemies. The first one is pain. This is the struggle against need, against hardship, against wanting things you don't have. For most of humanity, this is the main source of suffering. But what happens when you actually escape pain? When all your needs are met? Well, then you run smack into the second enemy, boredom. This, Schopenhauer says, is the curse of the wealthy and secure. When you have everything you could ever want on the outside, a person with a poor inner life is just left with this horrible, unbearable emptiness. And this is where that inner wealth becomes your ultimate defense. A person with a rich, active mind has a portable universe of entertainment right inside their own head. For them, being alone isn't a punishment. It's a chance to think and imagine, and no amount of external fun can ever match that. So this brings us all the way back to those other two categories, what we have and what people think of us. Schopenhauer basically dismisses these, not because they're worthless, but because they're fragile, they're secondary, and a lot of the time, they're built on nothing but illusion. I mean, if we were to map out where our happiness comes from, Schopenhauer's model would look something like this. The vast majority, the lion's share, is determined by who we are on the inside. Our possessions and our reputation, they're just these tiny, unstable slivers of the whole pie. When it comes to what a person has, he doesn't pull any punches. He compares chasing wealth to drinking seawater. The more you drink, the thirstier you get. It just creates this endless cycle of wanting more and worrying about what you have, not lasting happiness. And in his view, choosing to chase riches over developing your inner culture, well, that's just a profound mistake.
And what about our reputation, what we represent to the world? He calls our obsession with what other people think a universal mania. He sees it as this huge, deep-seated error that causes an incredible amount of our anxiety and unhappiness. And just think about it. Our reputation isn't really ours. It's a secondhand thing. It's an image of us that lives in the minds of other people. And let's be honest, those minds are often fickle, shallow, and just plain wrong. So to build our happiness on something so shaky is to basically give up all control over our own well-being. And all of that leaves us with one final powerful question to really think about. If you were stripped of every single possession and your social standing completely vanished overnight, what would be left? Because that which remains, your health, your character, your mind, that, according to Schopenhauer, is the true and lasting source of the wisdom of life.
This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.